Okay. So thank you so much for your time today. We're super excited to talk to you all about HubSpot's announcements from the Inbound conference. We'll start off just briefly by introducing our team who are on the call today. So if I haven't met you before, hi, I'm Gemma, CEO and founder of HubGem. I'm joined today by Laura. Laura, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, I am senior HubSpot CRM consultant. So I work with clients, sort of helping them to onboard them into HubSpot. Um, I'll pass over to Ollie.
Yeah, thanks, Laura. Hi, everyone. I'm one of the consultants here at HubGem. More importantly for today, also the AI lead. So super excited to share just a snippet of what was announced at Inbounds with some really exciting new features.
Fantastic. And we're also joined today by Amy, who will be here just helping out with the event and who has helped pull it all together. Lovely. So we are really excited to share some of the updates with you. We're going to give you a bit of background first into Inbound, what the event is in case you aren't aware, and then we'll get stuck into the specific updates. Really excited to see so many of our clients and a few different names on there as well. So we really hope you find it useful. The chat is there as well, so hopefully you'll be able to get involved in that too. Great. Okay, so the event was Inbound 2025. For those who aren't aware, Inbound is HubSpot's annual conference over in the US. In previous years, it's been held in Boston. This year, it was held in San Francisco, and it was, I think, bigger than ever. So there was about, I think there was about 15,000 attendees. There were a real mix of marketing, sales, operations, leaders, all attending, and it was a real energy. So there's a lot going on here, but I just wanted to give you a bit of a flavour before we get stuck in to the content itself. It's a massive conference centre, and there were talks from so many people. So HubSpot themselves, which will be the stuff we're sharing in a moment, but also loads of leaders from marketing, AI, and sales as well. And it was really incredible to see the very latest perspectives. So San Francisco is right in the heart, leading the way in the tech space. I think I counted just on billboards in the taxi ride between the airport and our hotel, maybe 20-minute drive, that there were something like 30 mentions of AI on billboards. So sneak preview, but we are going to be talking a little bit about AI and more specifically what it means for you as HubSpot users and for education providers. But it was an incredible opportunity for us to not just learn about the HubSpot side and the latest features, but also to learn about the, I suppose, the wider picture, because marketing is changing and there's so much new stuff going on. It was really great to get that insight. And we'll be sharing today some of the big highlights, and we'll continue to be sharing updates on our blog in the weeks and months ahead too. There were 3 of us that attended the event. So myself, Laura, and Kaylee, who is our people and culture manager. And all 3 of us were back to back all day, every day, from breakfast meetings all the way through to evening entertainment, and every talk in between. So we absorbed a lot. We took our AI note taker with us to help our brains, just to help us consolidate all that information. So let's get stuck into some of the big announcements. So the key takeaways, the overall picture was about AI. What does it mean? What does it mean for the world? What does it mean for people in marketing, in sales, in admissions? You know, what is the world going to look like? And it was really interesting to have talks from people. There was a guy called Zach Cass, who is the previous head of go-to-market for OpenAI. He was giving his predictions on what lies ahead in the coming months and years, all the way through to sort of product leads at HubSpot talking about their positioning and how they are using HubSpot themselves and developing HubSpot. There were 200 new HubSpot features announced within 1 week. So we have been super busy at HubGem in the background, learning and testing all of those, ready to be sharing these updates with our customers. But really the big takeaway for me was this sentence here, that humans lead and AI accelerates. AI is, we've obviously been talking about it for some time now, and I attended Inbound last year, and it was quite noticeably different. While last year the talk around AI felt exciting, but a little bit removed from reality. AI is great, but it's somewhere over here, or it's not really relevant to my job. This time it felt a lot more tangible. People are using tools like ChatGPT, Google Gemini, and HubSpot's AI tools, and are seeing the benefits, but are also seeing some of the challenges that come with rapid change, and adopting new tools in a workplace, because ultimately we all have jobs that we're doing as well as learning the new tech. But HubSpot themselves, their own positioning of AI really was around the importance of humans. Because if you take all of the people in your organization, whether that's a school, a college, a university, a business, if AI is accelerating, it's so important that you're all moving in the same direction, because otherwise you're accelerating in the opposite directions, and that's going to fall apart quite quickly. So they were talking about the power of relational and emotional intelligence, and actually humans connecting with humans was a key theme that was weaved throughout, whether it was HubSpot themselves talking about it or some of their experts from the tech space. Time and time again, they kept coming back to, you must be aligned within your teams, within your within your whole company. You've got to be aligned to the same vision, the same mission, and aligned teams. There's some practical reasons for that we will come on to as we explore the HubSpot features. But it was really key. And I think that's because with the AI accelerates, it'd be quite easy for us to all accelerate the wrong way. So what we're going to cover in the slides coming up is, obviously we'll be touching on some of the AI features in HubSpot, some of the new tools that have been announced. We're also looking at the new smart CRM and data hub features. I'm very excited about this. I have always been passionate about education providers really getting the most out of HubSpot. And one of the biggest challenges that I faced within a school environment was disconnected data. Spreadsheets over here, emails over there. You've got a parent in reception who needs you in real life to go and chat to them. You've got phone calls, and disjointed data, especially in the world of AI, leads to real challenges, because the AI that you're using is only as good as the data it can access. So if you have got disjointed systems, so we'll be touching on some of those features in a moment. We'll also be explaining loop marketing to you, which is really exciting change to the way that that marketing operates this year and moving forwards. And ultimately, the overall thing here is that HubSpot's unified platform is bringing structured data. So things like web forms, we all know HubSpot form fills in a property, and that's the structured data, but also the unstructured data, emails, calls, conversations, all into the mix, so that it becomes so much more powerful in giving you the full picture. So let's take a deeper dive. Laura, over to you.
Great. Hi, everybody. As Gemma just touched on, at Inbound 2025, HubSpot launched the new Loop marketing playbook. So let's take a look at what that actually means. So, many of us are familiar with HubSpot's old inbound funnel. That was to attract, engage, and delight. Attract was drawing people in with helpful content, SEO, social media. Engage was converting those visitors into leads and nurturing them with emails, landing pages. And then Delight was ensuring customers had a great experience, so they became promoters of your school or college or university. So that model has worked for years, but behaviors have changed. So people no longer sort of move step by step through a funnel. They jump between channels, do their own research, and expect interactions to feel more personal. In education, especially, families want that ongoing two-way relationship. So they don't want a prospectus, or they don't want just a prospectus and one open day. They expect, consistent, relevant engagement across websites, social, even WhatsApp, email, and increasingly AI-driven searches like ChatGPT or Gemini. So that's why HubSpot has launched Loop Marketing at Inbound. So instead of a straight funnel, Loop is a continuous cycle of express, tailor, amplify, and evolve. And it's designed for today's world where engagement is ongoing, adaptive, and circular. So let's take a look at each stage. So Loop starts with expressing. Express is about clarity and consistency. So making sure your institution's voice is crystal clear. So step one of that is defining your ideal customer profile. So for short, you might hear me refer to it as ICP, and that's what HubSpot refers to it as well. So for schools, that may be, prospective parents. For colleges, it might be 16 to 18-year-olds choosing pathways. And universities, it may be international students in a specific region. HubSpot's ideal customer profile and segmentation tools help formalize these audiences. So you can basically add these profiles into HubSpot so that when you come to create content across email, landing pages, it's tailored to those ICPs. Step two of Express is establishing a consistent brand voice. Now, you may already have your brand guidelines and brand voice, but we need to make sure that it's written for AI. And HubSpot again allows you to upload this directly into the platform in the AI settings under brand voice. There's some fields that you fill out so that when you create again content in HubSpot, it remembers this and will create the content with your brand voice in mind. Step three of this is testing and refining. So your content needs to resonate and not just be sort of put out there and hope for the best. Um, at Inbound, HubSpot introduced a tool called the Marketing Studio, and we'll touch on it later in the session. But this basically allows you to sort of map out your campaigns visually, assign tasks, but most importantly, test what's working and what's not, so that you can basically, tailor it. And the most important shift when it comes to expressing the content that you put out is that it needs to be discoverable by AI-driven search. So that means that when people are searching for things like what are the best schools near me, what are the best university courses near me, chat or any of those AI-driven search platforms put your content at the front and your brand at the forefront of their searches. So the next element of this loop playbook is tailor. So tailor is all about personalization, taking what you know about your audience, so your parents or your students, and shaping your content so that it feels really highly relevant to them. So for education providers, this starts by using data insights, and you can use HubSpot's data insights. HubSpot offers, lots of segmentation, flexible CRM views, and enriched records. So Olly will be touching on those later in the session. And then basically tailoring and personalizing the messaging. using, again, AI tools in HubSpot, such as email personalization, not just the tokens that we're used to, those personalization tokens, but taking it to the next level and really looking at the sort of pages that people have looked at, the movement across your website, and then tailoring the content to go out to them based on that. The next stage is sort of validating and adjusting. So tailoring isn't just a one-off, it's about listening and adapting as you go. And as we move through the loop strategy, you'll see that this is a bit of a theme. It's adapting your content basically. So it's not just this sort of static funnel that they're moving through, it's constant evolving and tailoring process. So as a whole, the tailor stage in the loop playbook is about moving beyond generic campaigns and making every interaction feel like it was designed for that specific parent or student. So amplify is the next stage. So amplify is all about reach. So it's making sure your message meets families and students exactly where they are in their own personal journeys. So in the past, the inbound method focused on blogs and SEO and websites, and that's still valuable. But as we know, behaviors have shifted, and families now get information from all different platforms, such as podcasts, newsletters, content creators on social and Reddit even. And more, they're also turning to AI-driven search tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, often instead of Google. So that's why the first step of Amplify is to diversify your channels, making sure that your content is showing up across different channels, and making you easier to find, basically. The second step is to optimize for AEO. Now, this stands for Answer Engine Optimization. Uh, this means refreshing and restructuring your content so that it appears on AI search results. So if someone again asks ChatGPT, for example, what are the best independent schools in Edinburgh, or which UK university offers psychology courses, you want your institution to show up in those answers. So I've just put a note here to check out HubSpot's AEO grader. So maybe make a note of that URL and use that. So you pop in your school or university's details, your website, and it's going to basically grade how you perform on those search engines. Sorry, not search engines, the AEO engines. And thirdly, you need to be strategic on socials. So formats like short videos, carousels, um, it's kind of the more off the cuff content is going to perform much better than more of the polished, impersonal campaigns. And then finally, Amplify is about joining everything up. So HubSpot's Marketing Studio, again, we'll come on to that shortly. But this helps you plan out campaigns across all channels, assign tasks, and track performance all in one place so that you can see what your audience is engaging with and what it's not, and then tailor from there. So, as we sort of touched on, the sort of fourth step of loop is about adaptation. So again, unlike the old funnel where campaigns were launched and only sort of reviewed at the end, the loop encourages you to learn and adjust in real time. So for education providers, the first step of evolving is to learn from the data instantly. So HubSpot's AI tools make it easy to see what's working. For example, what open day emails are driving signups or what course pages are attracting certain students. Instead of waiting months for reports, you can now spot these trends straight away from within HubSpot and act quickly to adapt your campaigns. So the second step is optimizing the campaigns on the go. Again, Marketing Studio helps you do that. So you can go in and tweak, certain assets, whether it be an email or a landing page that's maybe not performing as well as you'd like, and then use the insights to make those changes. And then lastly, the evolve is about keeping pace as behaviors change. So families and students are moving from Google, as we know, to these AI tools like ChatGPT and Gemini and all of that. And by making small improvements as you go, your institution can stay in step with these shifts instead of falling behind. Evolve is about never standing still, using AI, analytics, and flexibility to help keep your marketing relevant, timely, and impactful. So a roundup of Loop, um, it's express, tailor, amplify, and evolve. And it's a continuous way to connect the families and students at every stage. I'll now pass you on to Ollie.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to kick my section off with having a look at some of the smart CRM features. And this was one of the biggest announcements at Inbound, even though it's not technically AI powered. A couple of sort of screenshots on screen just so you can see sort of what the new menus are going to start to look like and some of the options that you can actually have to display your data in a different way. And this is all about how we see and actually use the data. And now this is particularly important because actually making sure that you understand your data and that the data is structured in the right way is one of the crucial elements to utilizing AI effectively. Now, what we've got here is, or what we had, I suppose, in HubSpot, it was traditionally when we wanted to look at our contacts, let's say, it was kind of still in a spreadsheet view. We had filters and we had views and we could segment, but for the most part, a lot of our clients are coming from spreadsheets and want a CRM to present the data in a different way. And actually, HubSpot just kind of gave you it in a spreadsheet. So they've come out with these new flexible views that mean that you can actually switch between quite a few different perspectives and ways of viewing your data without needing to export that somewhere else or juggling it inside of any sort of other different tools to represent that in a different way. Now, some of these are still coming soon, and not even we haven't even had a chance to play around with them, but we do have a little bit of detail on what they will include. So the standard sort of table view that we'll all be used to now, if you still want that detail, if you still like that spreadsheet view, then that is there. That's showing you all of your applications, all of your inquiries. It's laid out in a nice row by row or sort of a process format. Where this starts to become really cool is depending on how you want to view the data is where you can switch it up into these new views. So if you want to see progress, let's say, then a board view is going to be perfect for that. Something quite similar to what we see with deals at the moment. So your applications are far more visible across multiple stages, kind of like sticky notes on a whiteboard where you can progress them through the different steps that you need them to. But of course, they'll always be up to date with that fresh information when they get there as well. For any kind of trends and patterns that you want to identify with your contacts, there's actually a new report view. So this can give you instant insights into things like inquiry spikes or drop off at certain stages. And you can customize these reports. So it's taking your CRM data that would have been traditionally in a spreadsheet view and actually kind of making reports for you with minimal effort. There's then also a few that we sort of can't see at the moment, but that sort of have been mentioned. One of those is sort of a geography view or a map view. This will actually show you on a sort of world map, or of course, if you zoom into specific sort of areas, where some of that interest might be coming from. So that could be, where are your sort of most common feeder schools located, or do you want to look at certain postcode areas where some of your applicants might be coming from? Finally, there's also going to be a calendar view. So this will be really useful in sort of understanding when your contacts might have been created, perhaps how long since certain activities have been logged, so you know sort of when to follow up with some of your contacts. And all of that is quite easily selectable now in a new drop-down feature that will be coming once it's out of beta to everyone's views, where you'll be able to select one or more of these options to help you digest that data and organize it in the right way, ready to use inside of your AI tools. So I guess the real point of this is actually quite simple. The CRM now adapts to how you want to think about your data rather than that being the other way around. So I'll move on to the next one. this is now where we do start to get to talk about some AI and some fun stuff. So the next one is all about sort of self-generating data, which again is another sort of new thing that has been announced. And there's some graphics again on screen that can kind of show you. We don't want to end up with any more records where we've got gaps, especially not in first name and last name and email and the things that we should just have as soon as we create those contact records. So one of the sort of big shifts that we're seeing now within the CRM and in terms of how your data actually has the ability to update itself, and crucially, even in that unstructured data that before just wasn't possible with the current AI models. So traditionally, we're talking about, every phone call, every parent email, every application, all relied on, someone taking the time to kind of copy that information into the CRM. If someone mentioned something in an email thread or you had that phone call conversation with an important piece of information that needed a property update, or even perhaps if you were still on spreadsheets, that would be a manual task of putting that chunk of data where it needs to go. And we all kind of know what happens at times with that. Some of your fields will go stale. Details, of course, will naturally get missed. And then your team kind of lose confidence in that process and in that system. With the new smart CRM, that now changes significantly. HubSpot have introduced what they call conversational and intent enrichment at Inbound 2025. And what that means is that, when a parent replies to one of your admissions emails, your team logs a call that they've had, or perhaps you even take the call from within HubSpot itself. The CRM doesn't just store that in that activities section in the middle of our records anymore, kind of just waiting for you to do something with it and pick out some value. It will actually go ahead and enrich the records and update your smart properties automatically to capture that context into your property detail, like the topic of a conversation, or even perhaps the sentiment of the message as well. Now, behind the scenes, the new sort of branded data hub, it can constantly be cleaning and standardizing this data as well. So it will help with merging duplicates. It will help fix kind of inconsistencies in formats where you might accidentally be using the US date format, for example, where you wanted UK, and ensure that sort of every enriched property is also accurate and reliable. So the data you see isn't just more complete than it kind of ever was. It can also be healthier with the addition of the data hub features on top of that as well. And this is just bringing a level of sort of unstructured data enrichment that we haven't really had the ability to do anywhere before. Now, the impact is huge. It's actually quite simple as well. Ultimately, your teams no longer need to spend hours typing out those updates or chasing colleagues for missing information. Instead, your CRM is becoming that living record and it will stay up to date on its own. So naturally, the benefit for schools, colleges, training providers, everyone that we work with is you've got more time focused on your students and your strategy and less time doing all of that admin stuff that naturally has some of those flaws that we've mentioned as well. Moving on to sort of the final piece here on the smart CRM is the smart insights. And again, there's a few screenshots up on the screen in terms of kind of what this can look like and what you can start to use the AI tools to generate for you. But the real exciting part, I guess, of the smart CRM and the evolution that we're sort of discussing here is that the system is no longer waiting for you to go hunting for the answers. It's bringing those insights to you. And there's a couple of different ways that you can actually sort of have it do that. So starting with the smart insights. So instead of scrolling through, all of your different dashboards, running some custom reports that are always a little bit annoying to set up, the CRM is now going to be actively scanning your activity and resurfacing or surfacing moments that actually matter in that journey with your parents. So that could be the sentiment in a parent's email, suddenly shifting from something positive before and now there's concerned context perhaps within that follow-up. It could be an application pipeline slowing down in one of your stages for some reason, or it might be a trend like inquiries from a particular region are rising faster than usual. In the past, of course, spotting these patterns either meant hours of analysis or you spotted them once they'd happened and you were kind of firefighting the response to that. Now that the CRM is actually highlighting those for you automatically. So it is like having an extra team member that is constantly monitoring your data, and then it will tap you on the shoulder when something needs your attention. Another way that HubSpot again are kind of trying to introduce that theme is that there are going to be sort of brand new catch-up cards that again have been announced at Inbound this year. These are kind of like a daily digest. You might have these already set up on your phone for news, for example, or for your notifications. So Each morning or whenever you log in or a certain day at a time of the week, you can see sort of a single feed of the most important updates across your contacts, your deals, maybe your tickets, your companies, all of your objects in the account. So just think instead of sort of asking the question, what did I miss while I was teaching or while I was in that meeting or just while I was away from my desk, perhaps on some well-deserved annual leave, the catch-up cards actually are just there waiting for you and just tell you that information. So for admissions and marketing teams, that might mean a summary like 5 new inquiries came in overnight, 2 parents opened the bursary funding email, and 1 applicant moved forward to the interview stage, all on one screen as a digest, no digging for that information. Not to mention, you can also ask, of course, your own AI assistant, which I will be mentioning later on in today's session. So I'm sure you're thinking, this impact is going to be huge. Your team no longer has to be, data detectives piecing together reports, manually checking records. Instead, they just get clear contextual insights in real time, so you can act before that thing happens, whether that means following up with your family, adjusting your communications in some way, or of course, celebrating some sort of milestone as well, which is always nice. So some more on the AI features in a bit from me, but I'll hand back over to Gemma.
Lovely, thank you. So, as I mentioned earlier, the key to effective use of AI and streamlining your efforts, when we're talking about using AI in this context, we're really talking about giving you more time to focus on the stuff that is going to make the biggest impact, and taking away some of that, should we say, painful admin that can often accompany, any of our systems. A big thing that HubSpot announced at Inbound was the launch of Data Hub. Now, this is actually a repackaging of what was Operations Hub, but it's had a bit of an overhaul. Ultimately, you need to be able to trust your data to make better decisions. So if you are using those chat type prompts, or those bits that Olly shared there, the digest, it needs to know your data in order to give you them answers. It needs to know about your emails and things. So some of the key updates here is that Data Hub becomes your unified data hub. So this means the structured data in the properties, the unstructured data, which is in your emails and calls as well. They also announced, and we've not yet had the full capability to fully play with this, but watch this space. They also announced that you can be pulling data from other places. So whilst we're on a bit of a mission to stop the breeding of spreadsheets for admissions and keeping data centralized, we are aware that there will be times where an external spreadsheet is needed. So one example might be, let's say you capture bus route information elsewhere because another team entirely separate to HubSpot does that, or maybe it's exam results or something that might sit elsewhere in your tech stack as an organization. HubSpot has now brought in tools that allows you to reference that and treat it as if it is data in the CRM, so it can check for updates, and it can sync that data. So that's really exciting. There are still spreadsheets around, and so I think that's really key, that all of the data, so you'll still be able to draw these insights, have that centralized, unified data hub that can reference data that sits in other systems, including spreadsheets, and ultimately treats that alongside the unstructured data that you'll have in call transcripts, emails, meeting notes, and that sort of thing. So that then creates this one single source of truth. So for those using HubSpot for marketing, communications, admissions, or sales, all the way through to that enrollment, you really do have that central source of truth, and it should be easier than ever to then surface those insights, as Olly mentioned, which means that then your reports can reflect the whole engagement journey, so that you can make more reliable data-driven decisions without having to do the legwork of pulling that data in. The data, it can refer to it very easily. And this is really exciting because we know, if you've done onboarding with us, that there's the piece where we migrate your data and we do the imports, and that will still happen. But we know that, a school or a college is a living, breathing organization. There will be other types of data. And so the fact that we can bring all these things together to make HubSpot a unified data hub and then use the power of AI to draw insights to make better decisions. It should make it quicker and easier for you to make key strategic decisions based on your data, rather than having to, as Olly used the word data detective. You shouldn't need to be a data detective in order to do this. Lovely. So I'm going to hand back to Laura and to get stuck into something really exciting.
Yes, so as I mentioned a few times earlier, one of the most exciting updates for marketers in HubSpot is Marketing Studio. So it's HubSpot's brand new visual campaign builder. And let's take a look. So, Marketing Studio is, as I say, a brand new tool, and you can think of it as your central campaign hub. So, one place where you can plan, collaborate, launch, and tweak campaigns with AI built in at every step. So, with a simple prompt, you can generate first drafts for emails, social posts, landing pages, all of your assets in seconds. And it doesn't just save time, it helps to inspire content, give you fresh ideas, and lets you focus on refining and personalizing content rather than starting from scratch. Marketing Studio is already available in public beta, so you can opt in and start using it today. Once opted in, you'll find it in your marketing menu on the left-hand side. Just screenshotted an example there. And it's replacing the old campaigns tool. So, for marketers, this really is a game changer. No more juggling spreadsheets, long email threads, planning out campaigns, or endless browser tabs, with all of your different tools that you use for getting a campaign off the ground. With Marketing Studio, everything sits in one central place. So you can start planning your campaign, mapping out every element you need from your emails, your social posts, blogs, forms, anything that you can build in HubSpot, but you can also make note of anything maybe external that you need to organize, like, I don't know, flyers for an event, for example. Um, and then right inside the tool, you can actually create the content and assign tasks to your team and schedule all of the activities around the campaign. So instead of switching between platforms where you can lose track of progress, you instead have everything in one place to give you that full visibility of the entire campaign. So let's take a look at some of the key features. So firstly, it allows you to keep on top of tasks and projects. So you can assign assets like your marketing, emails, landing pages, anything that needs to be created. And you can basically assign those to other team members so that you're organizing the creation of those assets. And then you can also set deadlines for assets and basically keep your whole team aligned. Um, on the other side of this page, the calendar view in the Marketing Studio allows you to map all campaign activity in one clear timeline. So, whilst you've got your mapping visualization of the campaign, you also can view it in a calendar format based on the dates that you've said for things to be scheduled out at, for example, your emails or social posts, etc. And so that, you get that different perspective of your campaign, which is quite important as well. There is also a pipeline view. So we've got the mapping view, we've got the calendar view, now we have this pipeline view. So it's basically tracking the campaign assets status or statuses from draft to scheduled, published, and also archived. You might want to keep a track of what you've archived on the journey to creating this campaign. And that obviously gives you that visibility and helps to align resources and ensure the campaign is on track. Moving on to the other side, performance insights. So, like many of the tools in HubSpot, Marketing Studio also has built-in analytics. So, you can access campaign reports directly in Marketing Studio, on a asset basis. So you could click in and see how many clicks an email has got, for example, within the Marketing Studio. But you can also get this broader view of how your campaigns are performing. And um, with the Loop playbook, obviously the tailoring and adjusting of your campaigns is so important. So this allows you to get those insights to see what's working, what's not working, and then tailor on the go. So the overall benefit of using Marketing Studio is that even small marketing teams can deliver professional, multi-channel campaigns without extra tools. Um, as Marketing Studio brings, the planning, the collaboration, content, and reporting together in one place. So give it a go.
Thank you. Yeah, so some more AI bits from me. So where was with the smart CRM, we were talking about kind of machine learning and ways data can be presented and use AI to help you do that. Now we're going to move on to some of the really cool stuff and starting off with agents. So what do we kind of mean when we talk about, from AI helping to reduce admin? That's great. That's very sort of, I suppose, bottom tier of AI. It's there to do the stuff you kind of don't want to do, the repetitive tasks that AI is really good at. But the next frontier is what we're going to sort of call agentic AI. And this is where AI doesn't just suggest things, it actually acts for you. And that's where we want to talk about some of the different agents that are involved inside of HubSpot. So at Inbound 25, HubSpot made this shift crystal clear. They introduced the Breeze Marketplace, which is a revamp and kind of a rebrand, if you like, of the existing marketplace, which is going to be a new ecosystem where organizations can choose from, customize, and even build their own AI agents. So think of it like an app store, but instead of apps, you're actually deploying new colleagues who never get tired, they never miss a detail, and they can be trained for very specific tasks. Now, some of these agents are already built in. Anyone using HubSpot since inbound last year will be familiar with Breeze Copilot, which I'll move on to in a moment. That acts kind of like your chief of staff, handling planning, reporting, summarizing. And actually, some of you may have explored some of the other sort of the main four agents that debuted with that as well. One of the main ones being a customer agent, which is like your front desk operator, answering frequently asked questions, qualifying your inquiries, and even booking meetings. And again, more on that in a moment. But the real power is that we're now in an age where schools, universities, training providers will be able to design their own agents. So imagine an agent trained specifically on your bursary process or one dedicated to handling your open day registrations. Now, because the Breeze Marketplace is open, it won't just be HubSpot building these agents either. You'll be able to tap into a growing library created by developers, created by HubSpot partners, and of course, your own teams are free to share those as well with other institutions, although you might not want to if you create a particularly good one. And this is where we see agentic AI transforming education because it's not about replacing your teams. It's about giving every team a digital colleague who can do the repetitive work of logging the inquiries, answering those common questions that you get 10 times a day, as well as scheduling meetings so that your real humans, if you like, can focus on the conversations and the relationships that actually matter and building that process. Now, the agentic AI is powered by the Breeze Marketplace, and that means that, of course, every education team can have their own customized sort of digital workforce tailored to their processes. And it's worth mentioning that that's working 24/7 and it's scaling as the needs grow for those agents as well. So let's be really clear on this. That's not a vision for the future. It's already being rolled out today, and some of this stuff can really push some of your processes forward. So, as well as some of the bits you can see there on the screen, I also want to outline some of the new possibilities that we have with some of these new agents as well. Few examples, so we can have something like a data agent. So think of this as your in-house data steward. It will identify duplicates, it will fix inconsistent formatting, it will enrich records with missing information. It will be there to keep your CRM healthy without those hours of manual cleanup. We could also have something like a deal loss agent. So instead of wondering why applicants or inquiries fall away, or of course having to dig into that detail yourself, this agent can analyze those lost opportunities at the scale at which they're happening. And it can, of course, look for common themes, whether it's timing, is it funding, is it communications, so that the team can very quickly adapt and improve that for, of course, future outcomes. Or perhaps something like a social post agent, so a digital content creator that can do drafting, scheduling, and even suggest optimization and tweaks for posts across your social channels. Again, helping the marketing team stay visible without the constant pressure of manually posting and, of course, coming up with all of those great ideas for your posts as well. Moving on, like I mentioned before, some of you may be aware of what Breeze Copilot was. That has now had a bit of a rebrand, and you can kind of see in the example on the slide there the difference that that has made, but we'll talk through it. So it was already helpful, right? It was an AI that could draft content, it could answer some of your questions. At Inbound 25, they took a big leap forward, and this has now been relaunched as Breeze Assistant, or you'll see in your menu bar, instead of Copilot, it will say Assistant. Now, think of Breeze Assistant, like I mentioned, it's like your AI chief of staff. So it's no longer just a writing helper. It now has a memory and context. So that means that it remembers your previous instructions, it remembers the tasks that you're working on, and it remembers the way that your team prefers to operate, and of course, carry that out. So instead of starting from scratch each time with a new prompt, it builds out, of course, what it knows about you, just like a trusted colleague would. And it's also become far more connected as well. So the Breeze Assistant doesn't just look inside of HubSpot like it's kind of did before. It can now access Google Workspace files, Slack conversations, uploaded documents, and even do web search if needed. So when you ask it for a report or for a summary, it pulls together the full picture, not just CRM data in isolation now. So for anyone that enjoys using Gemini or ChatGPT at the moment, think of it as kind of included and built in now to HubSpot, and this will naturally step up your CRM data, feeding into those responses as well. And here's where it really starts to feel proactive, because Breeze Assistant can also do things like summarize your meetings, it can draft strategy plans for you, it can prepare reports, without you actually needing to request every detail in the prompt in order for it to carry that out for you. Because I think in the past it's felt like I need to be a prompt engineer just to get anything out of it, and this is kind of taking me the same amount of time. But now, it's there as at the start of your day with the groundwork already done. So for education teams, that means an admissions officer that can get a quick digest of yesterday's inquiries. It could be your marketing lead can have a campaign plan pulled together with supporting data, and leadership can, of course, get meeting summaries that highlight the decisions made and some of the next steps you might be taking as well. Most importantly, and as the theme of this presentation, this session has been throughout, Breeze Assistant is now embedded everywhere you work in HubSpot. So it's got the data where you're working with it. So whether you're building a form, whether you're writing an email, analyzing your pipeline, that new AI chief of staff is just sitting alongside you, ready to help with anything that you need. And the result here is ultimately less time chasing that information and more time actually using it, which is going to be amazing. The final thing I've got time to mention today, because this could have gone on for hours, but the last thing I'll single out is probably the most important agent, or certainly the most important agent I think we've seen initial success with, and perhaps the most interest from some of our clients as well. And this is the customer agent, which again, there's a few bits on the screen there in terms of setup and what it can do. Some of you, again, might have already used it in its sort of first iterative form from Inbound 24. When this was first introduced, it was kind of a smart chatbot. It was able to answer FAQs, direct people maybe to the right place. But HubSpot has now expanded it into a true AI team member, and one that can handle a lot more complex tasks and across multiple channels as well. So here's what's new. The customer agent can actually work across things like web chat, so Facebook, for example, and can even be bolted onto some of your voice channels you might be using now as well. So whether a parent messages your website at 10 o'clock in the afternoon, 10 p.m., or a prospective student sends a message query on funding, the agent can step in at the point that that question or that query is being asked. It's also become far more action oriented as well. So it's no longer just sort of throwing up information that might not actually lead to any action. So instead of just answering the question, the customer agent can actually qualify leads for you now. It can book meetings directly into team calendars where appropriate, and it can update into CRM records in real time as well. So that means that, your admissions officer doesn't have to log that inquiry later. It's already captured and it's got the context from the agent's conversation. Now, HubSpot shared inbound that in early deployments, the customer agent is already resolving in excess of 50% of support queries without a human intervention. So essentially cutting your workload in half for something like web chat that would have traditionally been. And that's a pretty staggering figure, and it shows how reliable these tools are becoming, and of course are only as reliable again as your data and how you train it. And the power doesn't stop there either, because the customer agent is built on the same framework as the New Breeze marketplace. So schools and colleges will soon be able to customize the agent for their own processes and perhaps even create their own version of this from scratch. So just imagine an agent trained specifically on, again, your bursary rules, or that can guide parents through your open day registration process step by step. And rather at the end of that, you still needing to take the action, all of that process being completed. So for education providers, this means, of course, fewer repetitive inquiries potentially clogging up your inbox. Also faster responses. Again, they're getting that response at the time that they are sending that message, and a seamless flow of information into the CRM as well. So none of that copying, once the conversation is finished. Most importantly, and the biggest message really from today around all of these AI tools, is that this doesn't replace your admissions team. And I'll say that again, it doesn't replace your admissions team. Instead, it frees them from answering the same questions dozens of times so they can focus on the conversations that build the trust and the relationships with your families. So the customer agent has grown from a chatbot to kind of like a concierge that's always on, it's always consistent, and it's always connected to your CRM. And like I mentioned at the start of HubGem, we have actually already seen some client success with this, and that was before these new features. So I can't wait to see what everyone is able to do with that once it's fully launched and out of beta. So I've totally run out of time. Could have gone on for much longer, but I'll throw it back to Gemma.
Lovely, thank you so much. So that is just a snapshot. We have been able to fill a whole hour with just a small fraction of the features that HubSpot announced at Inbound. I think really what this is showing is how HubSpot is evolving to meet the needs of its customers, in our case, busy education providers. This is really giving you smarter tools. This is the cutting edge of AI. To be clear, there's no other CRM in the world that can do this at the moment. HubSpot is very much ahead of the curve. So what I would say, if you're an education provider or any provider using HubSpot, you were already ahead of the curve in terms of the tools you had available to you. Now, with all of this new stuff, you are significantly ahead. And I really think this is quite a shift in the way, this is not just a system that you use. This is a system that is working for you and actually completing work for you, not just for you to work on it. You're working with it. Of course, we are here to help you turn these innovations into practical workflows for your admissions, marketing and sales teams. Ultimately, there's a load of new stuff here. We are working super hard behind the scenes. Everyone on the HubGem team is living and breathing this. We have embraced, I think I opted us into 80 betas this week, and we are using them behind the scenes for all of our marketing and sales and processes. We're building out demo examples so that we can bring this to you, and we ultimately want to guide you through this. So whether you're on a support plan with us, or whether you are, maybe you're in onboarding with us and you're looking ahead to beyond implementation, how you harness these tools, work closely with us. We're here to hold your hand through it. We want to reassure you that this stuff is going to make your life easier. We don't want you to, see it and think, oh gosh, how do I keep up? We do appreciate that the speed of change as advancements in AI are rolled out, across the board, but also clearly within HubSpot, that it can feel a little bit, new. It's quite rapid at the minute. What I would say is that because these tools are available for you doesn't mean you have to use every single one today. This is where we want to work with you as your trusted expert and say, okay, what do you need to achieve? What are your biggest pain points right now? let us help you. And then we can help cherry pick the bits that matter, because there are so many. And yeah, we just want to help you to get the ones that you need. And of course, bring you plenty of content about all the incoming stuff as well. Again, this has just been a small snapshot today, but we hope that that has been really useful for you. We have a couple of minutes left. So if you do have any specific questions, if you want to pop them in the chat, we do. I can see we actually have one here. So if parents are starting to use ChatGPT and tools like that to ask about schools, is there really anything we can do to make sure we show up in those answers? So as Laura mentioned, that was with the answer engine optimization, really making sure that your content, your website is still as important as ever, if not more important. I saw some crazy statistic at Inbound that something like 8% of the world's population is already using ChatGPT like regularly. I can't remember exactly, but it was a crazy stat considering how new this technology is. So the key is to make sure that this technology can find your website. It's not just about SEO, which was, little technical tweaks here and there. These are quite major gains that can be had if your website is optimized for ChatGPT and other answer agents. So check out the website grader. I think the link is in the chat there, because that will be super powerful for you. Lovely. Okay. Oh, one more question I've seen here. We've heard this before. We're only a really small team, often just me handling both marketing and admissions. How can we possibly keep up with loop marketing stuff? Yeah, we hear you. And I think, to be honest, lots of the marketers at Inbound could hear you. They're all sat there fiercely scribbling notes down or getting the AI note takers to do it. I think the key here is recognizing that none of this stuff we've shared today should mean more work for you. Loop marketing is about smarter work. And tools like Marketing Studio should help you to bring all of your stuff into one workflow that should make it easier for you. This is not all going to be done in a day. Like, don't put that pressure on yourself. This is about achieving the things that matter most to you. So what is it that could free up more of your time? And if that is reducing the admin, if it is leaning into the Breeze Assistant to help, I remember having a head teacher walk into the office and go, what's exactly this figure now? And it wasn't in my head. The fact that you can now use Breeze Assistant to quickly answer questions like that rather than rummaging through data, I'd like to think that a lot of this will be freeing up some of your time so that you can attend events like this and hopefully read up more as new strategies come out. Thank you again so much for your time today. I really hope you found this useful. Do keep in touch with us. If there's anything specific that you want to see from us, we are the HubSpot for education specialists. So if there is something in particular that you want us to be talking about, sharing on our blog, hosting webinars on, then please contact us so that we know what would be most helpful for you. We are absolutely here by your side to guide you through this. And just a shameless plug here at the end, if you don't already, it'd be super useful for you to subscribe to our blog. Loads of this content, loads more of this content coming up. There'll be some free resources coming your way, and keep an eye out for upcoming events. Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks for attending. Have a lovely afternoon, and we can't wait to hear how you get on with all these features.